Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Stottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So today we are asked to speak on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I'm very good, unqualified to speak about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. But approaching Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's Thakura's appearance day, I was meditating on him, and I just had the desire to, I want to know more about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And so I started to listen to classes, read from the book A Ray of Vishnu, just to learn more about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And then I think his appearance day was on the Thursday, right? And so the Wednesday night, we had a kirtan in honor of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And then Alanath Prabhu asked me, would you like to speak on Sunday morning? And so I thought it's the normal class Krishna book, right? I said, yeah, I'll speak. And then he says, you'll have to speak on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So, yeah. So then now I kind of had this realization that, Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. Because I wanted to know more, and he just pushed me into the deep end. He said, okay, now you speak on him, so you have to learn more. Yeah. So, I'm going to give it a try. So please bless me. Prabhanu Prabhu, Mataji, and all the other Vaishnavas here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, most of what I'm going to say, we've heard, it's repetition. And I know Prabhu is going to speak later, so I don't want to say too much. Yeah, so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, A Ray of Vishnu. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this, the material world, over the course of time, so many Upas Sampradayas appeared. I think there was something like 13 or something. There was this one sect that, I forget the name now, Jati Gosai, they were called. And they believe that you're only a Brahmin, or you only can practice Vaishnavism if you're born in the line of Vaishnavas. That means born in a Vaishnava family or a Brahmin family. So in the seminal line, And then there was another sect that used to dress up like the gopis, Lalita Saki and Vishaka and things, and used to kind of act out the pastimes of Krishna, these Sahajiyas. And so many other sects of Upper Sampradayas. And so this happens when the teachings of the Lord is re-established. It's like the sun has dispelled the darkness. But over due course of time, then darkness comes again. So there's so many distortions in the teachings of the Lord. And so the Acharya is sent by Krishna. And he comes and re-establishes the teachings of the Lord, the teachings of the Vedas. And then over due course of time, again, the darkness comes, and then the other Acharya is sent. And like this, it's the sun comes and dispels the darkness, and then over time the darkness comes again, and then so on and so on and so on. And then we come down to eventually Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur being sent to preach Vaishnavism, to re-establish Vaishnavism, re-establish the teachings of Krishna. So, we'll speak a bit about how Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed to Krishna. Just like Advaita Acharya, when he saw that, all around him, people were so engrossed in materialistic life. People were so much, they dove to the end of the deep, dark well of ignorance. And they forgot their culture, they forgot their Vaishnava roots. In Mayapur Dham, this is happening, right? And what did Advaita Acharya do? He prayed to Krishna, that you please come and save these people. So just like that, in that same mood, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, although he was preaching very vigorously Krishna consciousness to re-establish the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, still he found that he needed help, somebody to help him. And so he prayed to Krishna, he prayed to Lord Chaitanya, my dear Lord, it's not in this Kali Yuga, you will only come again as Kalki. So you don't have to come, but you please send at least one ray of your mercy, this ray of Vishnu. Right? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed like this. And in time, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a son who he named, it was his seventh son, and who he named Bimal Prasad. Right? So we'll read a little bit of what I wrote. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur presents the same compassionate spiritual frame of mind as Advaita Acharya. Right? We mentioned this. So now my computer starts giving trouble. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was thinking, in this totally materialistic condition of life, what can I do? He did his best, And so in this mood of Sri Advaita Acharya, he began to pray. Right? Like what the prayer I just mentioned, how he prayed. And so he asked for someone as good as Krishna himself, his empowered representative. Or his empowered devotee, a ray of Vishnu. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was residing at Jagannath Puri Dham at that time. So he had this beautiful son, and he named him Bimal Prasad. So this name, Bimal, is the name of the internal potency of Lord Jagannath. Right? So Bimal Prasad actually means the mercy of the internal potency of Jagannath, Lord Jagannath. And when he was born, he had all the 32 markings of a very great personality. And we have heard that the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck like a Brahman thread, all these auspicious signs. And the astrologers, when they looked at his charts, they were struck with wonder at this child's horoscope. Right? One astrologer, he said that this personality will be such a great personality that according to all my readings, he will change the course of human society. Right? This was one prediction, one astrologer. So when he was only 6 months old, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati, Bimal Prasad at that time, so it was time for the grain giving ceremony, where he takes his first grain. And at that time, we know the Rath Yatra the cart was going past Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house, and it just stopped. It refused to move. And I was listening to one class not so long ago, and they were speaking about Jagannath Rath Yatra. And this happened not many years ago, that the cart just stopped someplace while on the way to Gundicha temple, and he didn't want to move. You know, so even now this happens. Lord Jagannath wants to stay put where he is and give darshan, so nobody can move him. Right? So at that time the cart stopped at Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house, outside his house, and because he was a magistrate, so he had special privileges. So his wife, Bhagavati Devi, took Bimal Prasad onto the cart of Lord Jagannath and placed him at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath. And Bimal Prasad immediately reached out to touch the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath, right? 6-month-old child. And we understand that Lord Jagannath's garland fell and around Bimal Prasad, right? So this is the mercy of Lord Jagannath unto Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So all these auspicious signs proving that this personality is indeed a ray of Vishnu. So Srila Prabhupada tells us how when he was only 2 or 3 years old, he took one mango, Bimal Prasad took one mango, which was not offered to the Lord. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in a very chastising way, said, "What are you doing? You know, you are taking this mango that's not offered to Krishna." You know, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur chastised him. And this young boy, 3 years old, he took a vow at that time, 3 years old, that he will never eat mangoes again, because he felt himself an offender. Right? So at that very young age, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is teaching us that we have to be very firm in our conviction to practice Krishna consciousness. Now sometimes we're so whimsical, we relax the rules a bit. You know, we tell ourselves, it's okay to step out of line, maybe, you know. But no, here Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is teaching us from a very, very, very young age that we have to be very firm in our Krishna consciousness. We have to be very strong. Why? Because he showed the example from his preaching that by being very pure, very firm in practicing Krishna consciousness, that we can make a change. And he made a big change. Right? He lived it this way. So yes, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he saw in his son that Krishna has fulfilled his innermost prayer of sending the special mercy in the form of Bimal Prasad. So I'm just going to speak not too in detail. So we'll move on to how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati became very unpopular amongst the different sects of Brahmanas, right? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur became very unpopular. He had to undergo great persecution because he was against the idea of caste and birth. And he was giving the mantra, this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, to everyone without discrimination. You know, just like in the footsteps of Lord Nityananda, giving without discrimination, His holy name, whether you deserve it or not. So it is described that when they were living in Jagannath Puri, when he was just a child, they moved from Puri Dham to a place in Bengal called Rangat, where his father was shifted, because as a magistrate, I think he was moved to different courts. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Giri Govardhan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So in that place where they moved to, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur was given many lectures, many talks on Chaitanya Charitamrita. And there was one Babaji, very prominent Babaji, very famous Babaji, that came to listen to the lectures. Right? And he was very impressed with how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati spoke on the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. But this Babaji, he had this belief that Hare Krishna mantra should not be chanted out loud. It should be chanted only in japa. And because it is such a sacred mantra, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, that it should not be sung in kirtan. So what this Babaji did, he thought up another mantra, sort of concocted another mantra. This mantra that read, Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram. So what he said that you chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on your japa beads, but in kirtan, loud chanting, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is not allowed. Right? But we know from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya that this is not true. Because Lord Chaitanya, with all his associates, were chanting loudly on the streets of Navadvip. Right? Just like yesterday we went on Harinam. We were chanting loudly and many people were running out of their houses to give us money. Yeah, so so now when Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta heard this, that this Babaji concocted this mantra and was telling everyone to chant it in kirtan, first of all they understood that this mantra is rasabas. So it's a mixing of the mellows. And also the purpose of this mantra was in replacement of Maha Mantra for kirtan. And they understood that according to the teachings of Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu and according to the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami, that this mantra should be chanted in kirtan. There was something I wanted to read, yeah. So Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they preach that in japa, this Mahamantra must be chanted in japa and kirtan, but between japa and kirtan, kirtan is most important. Right? This is what I heard in many lectures and also read in the Ray of Vishnu. They are both essential, but Sankirtan, this congregational chanting, is especially in this age of Kali Yuga recommended, the congregational chanting. So they preach very strongly against this mantra, Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram. So they became very unpopular in Jagannath Puri because this Babaji, he was very famous and he had many followers. So many were with the Babaji, but there were also others that were on the side of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So like this, Bhaktisiddhanta became sort of unpopular in that way. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta, they wanted to protect the real truth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings because nobody else was really doing this. And then we see that Bhaktivinoda Thakur established the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I'll read what I have here. There were so many great Babajis who were maintaining higher standards, but they were basically keeping to themselves, and they were not coming out and fighting against and reliving that, reviving the discrepancy in the name of teaching of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So at that time, to be a Vaishnava was considered not the highest, right? Because many of these upper sampradayas, in the name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, were doing all illicit activities. They were engaging in all these illicit activities. So people thought that Vaishnavism, began to think that Vaishnavism was very low, right? So Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur now were fighting against this. They were trying to re-establish the teachings of Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So it's described that at one time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was to give a lecture on who is a Brahman and who is a Vaishnava, the difference between Brahman and Vaishnava. But he was feeling very ill and he couldn't get out of bed. So Bimal Prasad, he went to give the lecture instead. And because it was filled with all the caste Brahmins, to give this lecture instead, it was filled with all these caste Brahmins. So what he did was, first he began to glorify all the Brahmins, all the caste Brahmins. And he began to glorify the qualities of the Brahmins, the attributes of the Brahmins, and the importance of following the Brahmins and surrendering to Brahmins. So all the Brahmins, their hearts began to melt. Their hearts began to melt, and they were thinking, this boy is such a great scholar, right? We have never heard anyone glorifying our caste like him. So they really, their hearts and their minds and their ears, everything was surrendering to the beautiful discourse of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati. So pleasing to these Brahmins, and so pleasing to them and everyone, and he turned the whole thing around eventually and explained that Brahman is not by birth. Yes, we have exalted the prominence and importance of Brahmins, but even if a person is born in a family of dog eaters, he is better than Brahman if he is chanting the holy name, and you can initiate anyone in a Brahman order. Whatever their birth is, if they simply have the qualities of a Vaishnava, then they are also Brahman, like that. So in this way, they became very much defeated, these caste Brahmins. And then the entire crowd, the people were coming and they wanted to touch Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's feet. And he didn't want anyone to touch his feet, And there were these kind of like security there. So they took Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati a little away in another room, sort of. And but the crowd, they wanted to get the mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta after he defeated these caste Brahmanas. And they wanted the dust from his lotus feet. So what these security officers did was they grabbed hold of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's feet and dunked it in a dish of water. Although he was fighting against this, but they managed to overpower him and dunk his feet in this water. And then they poured more buckets of water into this chanamrit and distributed it amongst the crowds. And like this, the crowd was pacified. Right? So then we come to Bhaktivinoda Thakur requesting Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to take shelter of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Right? It reads, yeah. So there was a very, very great Paramahamsa who was living in Vrindavan for many, many years. He heard that Gauranga Mahaprabhu's birthplace has been discovered and that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was giving wonderful lectures in the life and teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This Paramahamsa was very much anxious to see the beautiful birth site of the Lord and to associate with Bhaktivinoda Thakur. His name was Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was a disciple of Bhagavad Das Babaji Maharaj, who was the disciple of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. And so he came to Navadvip. He was wearing a tiger skin hat and had a bag full of japa beads and a little bag of paraphernalia for puja when he came to Navadvip. This is how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur first saw his Gurudev, and he was thinking how this man was very pure. This man is so very great. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur urged him very strongly that he should accept initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he approached Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And Babaji Maharaj was very humble person. In his earlier life, he was a grain merchant, but he left his family at a very young age to go to Vrindavan and chant Hare Krishna with all the sadhus and the sages there, the Babajis. And so he was very much respected in Vrindavan by the Brajvasis, by all the sadhus, the Babas. He was just such an illustrious person, you know. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he requested, you kindly, if it is your divine mercy, will you accept me as your disciple? And we know the story how Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj said no, he has taken a vow to not accept any disciples. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was very persistent, because at one time Bhaktivinoda Thakur told him that if he doesn't get initiation from Babaji Maharaj, he must not come back home. You know? So now he's not getting shelter at Babaji Maharaj, and then he can't go back home to his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. What to do? So Bhaktisiddhanta was very persistent, and then we know we've heard of how Babaji Maharaj said, okay, he'll have to pray to Gauranga Mahaprabhu and see what Mahaprabhu advises, like that. And eventually it came where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was refused again and again by Babaji Maharaj. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's Thakur's heart was so heartbroken that he started to weep. And he said that, how can I get Krishna without a guru? If I don't have a guru, this life is wasted, because I cannot get Krishna. Only guru can give Krishna. And rather I go jump into the Ganges and end this life. You know? But he was speaking with so much of humility, so much of purity, straight from the heart. He wasn't just saying this. These weren't just words. And then Babaji Maharaj, his heart melted by hearing the words of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he gave in, and then he initiated Bhaktisiddhanta, like that. We also know how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I was mentioning earlier how firm he was in, how he demonstrated that we should be firm in our Krishna consciousness, be very serious. And he took a vow to chant 1 billion names of Krishna. 1 billion, not even a million, 1 billion. And it took him 9 years, chanting 300,000 names a day, following the footsteps of Srila Haridas Thakur. So like this, with firm conviction, because he is teaching us that if we don't have full faith in the chanting of Hare Krishna, if we don't have full faith in Krishna's names, then how are we going to push on this movement? How are we going to preach to others? Because this is what we're preaching, that we meet somebody on the street or something and we tell them, you have to chant Hare Krishna, right? This is what we're teaching. But if we don't have conviction in the name, we don't have full faith in Krishna's name, so what we are speaking to these people are just words. Right? So Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura is teaching us that first, we have to become purified. We have to become pure. We have to practice nicely, chant nicely, and then we can give it to others. Right? Obviously, this mustn't mean that we must stop preaching and then say to ourselves, oh, until I become pure, then I will go and preach. No. We can do it simultaneously. Because Krishna can empower us. Last night, I was speaking to one devotee after I left Joe, after the Harinam. And the topic came to how this one boy used to come to this temple, to Sri Radha Radhanath. And because of COVID, COVID disrupted so many devotees' lives. So when this lockdown period was taking place, this boy, he drifted away and he fell back into Maya. But after that he came a couple of times. But this devotee that I was speaking to, he said that he approached the boy because he saw him after a long time. And so they was chatting and the boy said, he wants to come back here, but he's not feeling the same. And yes, he's not feeling the same because he fell into Maya, And we know that when we go against the rules of Krishna consciousness, and then it's very hard for us to associate with devotees again because of that impurity in ourselves, in our hearts, right? But we have to break through it. We have to come, and slowly, that feeling will come back. Yeah. So we were speaking of how Krishna reciprocates that. So this devotee, he asked me that, devotees don't want to even chant now. They want to chant, but it's not happening, And then I said, the thing is, we have to steal the time to chant, to just chant one round. Because consider when we first came into the movement, we weren't chanting Hare Krishna, but somehow or other we stole time from our busy lives, started chanting one round, and then Krishna, what he did, he reciprocated. Then he gave us more time to chant 2 rounds. And then he gave us more time to chant 4 rounds, and eventually 8 rounds, 16 rounds, right? You're smiling. You know what I'm talking about, right? So like this, Krishna reciprocates. If we want to do it, want to please Krishna, he will reciprocate. So like this, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he's teaching us. He gave time to chant Hare Krishna, 9 years of his life, to chant 1 billion names of Krishna. And what happened? Krishna made him the lion guru. Right? He defeated so many of these caste Brahmins. Right? At that time, he utilized everything in the service of Krishna. Sadhus, was supposed to live very simply in huts, maybe, not travel by car and things. But Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he used the car to preach Krishna consciousness. He built palatial buildings, temples, to preach Krishna consciousness. Right? So he went beyond the norms. He broke the rules of the norms. But what? Why did he break it? To preach Krishna consciousness. Like that. So like this, Bhaktisiddhanta took up his father's mission to spread Krishna consciousness throughout the entire world. He sent his disciples to the Western world, and they weren't very successful. But we know that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had many thousands of disciples, and many deviated, but there were few that were very, very, very strong, in their mission and in carrying out their Guru Maharaj's mission. And one of them, the most famous one, is our Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, right? And so Prabhupada, he in his first meeting with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was told that you should preach in the Western world. Write books in English. You're a very intelligent man. You should write books in English and preach in the Western world. And there's one chapter in Srila Prabhupada's Leela Amrita. It's entitled "A Lifetime in Preparation." Right? Is it in Prabhupada's Leela Amrita? A Lifetime in Preparation. One chapter is called. Because Prabhupada was preparing his entire life to fulfill the mission of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Because at the very mature age of 69, Srila Prabhupada left the shores of India to travel abroad and spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. So a lifetime in preparation. So what Srila Prabhupada is teaching us is that if we all receive some sort of instructions from our spiritual master, right? We all receive these instructions to expand the preaching mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So sometimes we may not be able to carry out that instruction immediately. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he was not able to carry out the instruction immediately. And Srila Prabhupada is so humble that he said, at one time he said, he was in family life and he was the managing a business, a pharmaceutical company, and at one time he told his disciples, I was in Maya, like that. But obviously this is his humility. He was not in Maya. So, but a lifetime in preparation. Srila Prabhupada was always meditating on his Guru Maharaj's instruction, and eventually, in 10 short years, he took over the whole world. Right? So Prabhupada is teaching us that we should have full faith in the Guru. Right? Just like Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had full faith in Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Babaji Maharaj. And he was empowered by them. Srila Prabhupada empowered by Bhaktisiddhanta. And Srila Prabhupada's disciples did and are still doing so much of preaching, so much of intense preaching. In countries you would never believe that Krishna consciousness can fructify. Right? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was a very powerful personality. He was the ray of Vishnu. Right? We see this in Srila that he created so many powerful disciples, Srila Prabhupada. And another one disciple who was also very close to Srila Prabhupada loved him very much, was Akinchana Das Babaji Maharaj. Right? One time, so Akinchana Das Babaji Maharaj wanted to meet Srila Prabhupada. And I don't know the details where Srila Prabhupada was or what, but anyway, Akinchana Das Babaji Maharaj came to see Prabhupada. But Prabhupada had given his disciple very strict instruction that screen, whoever wants to come, screen them properly before allowing them to enter. So Babaji Maharaj, he was always chanting the holy names, and he carried a mridanga around his neck, a drum around his neck. So anyway, he went to see Prabhupada, and he approached the disciple, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, the devotee, and he said that he wants to see Swami Maharaj. And Prabhupada's disciple, I don't know who it was, so he refused to allow Kinchana Das Babaji Maharaj to see him. And he held him by the hand and took him away. And then Kinchana Das Babaji Maharaj, he put his hands together and he told this devotee, thank you for being so merciful. That I was becoming so proud, but now you have taught me that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants us to always be humble, tolerant like a tree, humble like a blade of grass. Right? So thank you so much. So this devotee, he became bewildered now. He didn't expect this reaction from Kinchana Das Babaji. And he went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I've offended somebody because this is what happened. And this is how he responded. And then Prabhupada, in his very grave mood, he asked, describe this person. And the devotee said, he had a mridanga around his neck. And then Prabhupada said, Akinchana Das Babaji. And immediately he sent the devotee to bring him in. And so that was their first meeting. Babaji Maharaj and Akinchana Das Babaji Maharaj and Prabhupada. And when Akinchana Das Babaji Maharaj came in front of Prabhupada, he offered obeisances, Dandavata obeisances. And he didn't want to get up. And Prabhupada said, please, wake up, get up. And Akinchana Das Babaji Maharaj said, no, I want to be at your lotus feet. Right? So he also is a very exalted devotee, Akinchana Das Babaji Maharaj. And another disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati who did a lot of preaching also. And his name has slipped from our mind. Prabhupada's sannyas guru, what was his name? Keshava Maharaj. No. Eh? Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Swami Maharaj, yes. So he was also a very, very prominent disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. So I'm speaking about his disciples because the disciple, glorifies the spiritual master. The more preaching the disciple does shows how glorious his spiritual master is. Like that. So yeah, this is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, a ray of Vishnu. I'm sorry, I couldn't speak very eloquently and things because it's the first time I'm speaking on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. But yeah, it's such an amazing personality, And now I want to know more and more about him. Not that I want to skip over our spiritual master and over Prabhupada and things, not like that, but the more we learn about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, the more glorious Srila Prabhupada becomes to us. Like that. So I'll stop here on time. Are there any questions or comments? Anyone wants to add anything? Prabhu, I hope I didn't say things that you're going to say. Now I know. Nobody. Okay. So, thank you. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami ki jai. Hare Krishna.